Today, one of the most iconic women in the world turns 50. Yes, 50. Can you believe it? Angelina Jolie, actress, activist, mother mystery, celebrates half a century of life, transformation, and defying expectations. But behind the glam, the red carpets, and the headlines, there's a story so much deeper, so much more human. If you're passionate about uncovering the real stories behind the stars, hit that subscribe button and join us for more powerful celebrity transformations every week. Born on June 4, 1975, in Los Angeles, Angelina Jolie Voight was practically destined for fame. Her father, Oscar winner Jon Voight. Her mother, the graceful and soulful actress Marceline Bertrand. Yet, Angelina's early years were far from the picture-perfect Hollywood dream. Her parents split when she was just a baby, and her relationship with her father became strained, a wound that would follow her for decades. As a child, Angelina was different. By the age of 11, she had already swapped bright colors for black clothes, developed a fascination with knives, and even dreamed of becoming a funeral director. Yes, she once seriously considered helping people grieve for a living. Why? Because even at that age, she felt deeply. Too deeply. She was already seeking meaning in pain. In high school, she didn't fit in. She was bullied for being too thin, too intense, too weird. She wore glasses and braces. She isolated herself. And she once said she felt like she didn't belong anywhere. Maybe that's what made her powerful. That outsider energy, that silent rage, that refusal to conform. Let us know in the comments, did you ever imagine Angelina's childhood was this dark and unusual? What surprised you the most? And then came the escape, acting. She appeared in music videos, worked as a model, and studied at the Lee Strasberg Theatre Institute. But it wasn't until 1999, when she starred in Girl, Interrupted, that everything changed. Her performance as the wild, unpredictable Lisa earned her an Academy Award and the attention of the entire world. She wasn't just a pretty face. She was magnetic, raw, electric. But while the world fell in love with her wild charisma, Angelina was spiraling behind the scenes. In her early 20s, she struggled with depression, self-harm, and admitted to having experimented with just about every drug possible. She was honest, sometimes brutally so, and in Hollywood, that made her dangerous and unforgettable. And just when it seemed like she might crash, she transformed. In 2002, she adopted her first son, Maddox, from Cambodia. That moment changed everything. Motherhood gave her a new reason to live, to grow, to fight. Soon after came Zahara from Ethiopia, Pax from Vietnam, and her biological children with Brad Pitt, Shiloh, and the twins, Knox and Vivienne. And yes, from an early age, Shiloh made headlines for choosing suits over dresses, and Angelina, she supported her child with open arms and an open heart. If this story is inspiring you, share it with someone who needs to see the strength behind the fame. There's so much more to Angelina than what meets the eye. And speaking of Brad Pitt, the world remembers. It was 2005. Mr. and Mrs. Smith hit theaters, and rumors exploded that Brad and Angelina had fallen in love on set, while he was still married to Jennifer Aniston. The media went wild. Team Jen versus Team Angelina was the pop culture war of the decade. But Angelina always insisted there was no affair, that their romance started after the divorce. Whether you believed her or not, Brangelina became the most powerful couple in the world. Together, they raised a family, traveled to war-torn regions, donated millions to charity, and redefined what a Hollywood power couple could look like. Until 2016, when everything shattered. Angelina filed for divorce. The fairy tale ended, and yet, she stood tall. She didn't retreat. She evolved. Again. Angelina Jolie became more than an actress. She became a global force for good. As a special envoy for the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, she's visited over 30 countries, often risking her own safety to bring attention to forgotten people. From refugee camps in Syria to war zones in Sudan, she's done the work. Quietly, fiercely, consistently. And then came one of the most courageous moves of her life. In 2013, Angelina wrote a New York Times op-ed revealing she had undergone a preventative double mastectomy after discovering she carried the BRCA1 gene. Her decision stunned the world, not just because it was so personal, but because she chose to make it public, hoping to help other women feel empowered to take control of their health. And she did. But don't worry, it's not all serious. Did you know she's a licensed pilot and flies her own planes? That she collects daggers and is trained in martial arts? That she once gave Brad Pitt a waterfall for his birthday and planned to build a house over it, inspired by Frank Lloyd Wright? And here's one more. She has tattoos in multiple languages, including a Buddhist blessing in Khmer inked for Maddox on her left shoulder. Her body is literally a map of her soul. And let's not forget her role as Maleficent. That performance, iconic, not just because of the costume or the cheekbones, but because she brought unexpected depth to a classic villain. She showed us that darkness often hides pain, and that even villains can love. Now, at 50, Angelina Jolie is more than ever a woman on her own terms. She directs films, mentors young artists, raises her children out of the spotlight, and continues to fight for human rights around the world. She's not chasing fame. She's chasing truth, justice, peace. And maybe that's the real secret to her power. She's always in motion, always changing, always becoming. The little girl who wore black and dreamed of funerals is now a woman who brings light to the darkest places on earth. So today, as we celebrate 50 years of Angelina Jolie, we don't just celebrate a movie star, we honor a survivor, a warrior, a rebel with a cause, a mother, a symbol, a soul who refuses to be defined by anyone but herself. Because behind the glam, there's grit. Behind the beauty, there's bravery. And behind the legend, there's a story that's far from over.